In the past 6 months, I have been struggling to focus while doing my work, while studying, and all I did was just procrastinate on my phone, scroll on social media, do absolutely nothing, but just not to do the work or not to study. So if you find here yourself, lucky you, in this video, I will actually show you and explain to you the two solutions that I have found that recently have made me a more focused person. Right now, I can work for 1 to 3 hours every single day without getting too much distracted by my phone. And it's actually pretty simple. It's just two wise and two actionable solutions that you will take right after this video. So let's get right into this. My story is that I'm the same student as you are. I am constantly learning, but whenever I need to do some harder work, whenever I need to do some studying projects, I always find myself scrolling on the phone. So actually, I have been trying various methods, various different techniques to quit that, but most of them seem to not work until this one. So it's actually not a method, but it's actually understanding what is procrastination. Like, why does it happen? And I found that there are two kinds of procrastination. So the first procrastination is the one that we trigger by doing some kind of actions. And to put it simply into examples, for example, we want to work on our computer, and whenever we open our computer, you instantly open YouTube, you scroll for something, you watch some kind of new videos, or you think that you are doing your content creation, and with this excuse, you open your phone to check something, but you find yourself scrolling on Instagram, watching your likes, seeing what other people are doing, seeing what your friends are doing. So it's the procrastination that is triggered by action. You are doing something, and instead of doing the actual thing, you forget it, and then you scroll on social media, you procrastinate on your phone, you wander, and you do not do the work. So this is the first procrastination method. Now, the second thing is actually a bit deeper, and is actually procrastination that is caused by an emotion. So for example, you probably understand that whenever you get back from school or from your job, you always feel tired. And what's the most common thing that you do when you are tired? Well, you lay on a bed and you scroll on social media. Maybe you scroll for 1 hour, for 2 hours, even for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and more hours. And it's because you are tired. Maybe you are feeling sad and alone, and because of that, with this excuse, you decide to open pornography or to eat a lot of sugar or to binge watch something, watch a series. And that is caused by your emotion. The way that you feel actually makes you want to procrastinate on something. So now we understand the two simple whys why the hell we procrastinate so much. So whether this is caused by an action, so for example, you opening your phone thinking that you're going to research something, thinking that you're going to check something, but instead you find yourself scrolling on the phone. And actually the second thing is your emotions. Whether you are tired, whether you are super excited, whether you feel alone and sad, whether you feel unmotivated, and this leads you to doing the easiest thing, which is procrastinate or scroll on social media, get distracted, not be focused, not do the work. So with these two things in mind, we might think that, oh, we are screwed and there is nothing to do. But I actually found two solutions that relate to each of one of those triggers. So the first trigger is our actions. So the normal solution is to limit what actions you are doing. So for example, you probably find yourself that whenever you're doing some kind of work, you always have your phone near you, you always have your computer open, you have your tabs open, you have maybe YouTube open, maybe you listen to music, and it's that you always have a quick access to any kind of platforms. You can always just tap your phone, open social media. You can always switch your tabs on computer and open maybe YouTube. Maybe you're listening to music, and this means that whenever you want, you can open some kind of video, some kind of, podcast that might distract you for doing the work. So the solution is very simple. We do not use any kind of technologies when we are doing the work and when we don't need it. So it's okay to have your phone, it's okay to listen to music, it's okay to do all of those things. But imagine this, and I will give you an example and you will definitely understand it. So imagine that we are doing a project, for example, a programming project or some kind of research that we need to do on computer. So for example, we are doing that. But the most common thing that a lot of people do, and maybe you're doing some kind of content creation, most of the times what we do is that we go on YouTube and we search for some kind of tutorials. We then scroll on the home feed and we find some kind of interesting things that we think benefit us to do the work. But in reality, 99% of all the videos that you see, all the tutorials that you see are bullshit, and that does not contribute to you doing the work. So naturally what comes out of it is that we don't open these kinds of social medias, we don't open YouTube, we don't open Google, nothing. No AI, no nothing when we are doing the work. So for example, you are writing a script for your video, or you are doing some kind of programming project, maybe school project, maybe you are doing your work, your job. And what I want you to do is do not open any social media. Do not open your phone, do not place it near you, do not open it, do not open any social media until you have a very specific problem to solve, a very specific question to answer. This is just while you are doing the work or you are studying. So for example, you are studying history, or you are studying, I don't know, maths, or you are doing some kind of project, and instead of opening YouTube, scrolling and seeing videos, getting hooked in and procrastinating, what you do is you do the work, you try to do it by thinking, by having your own knowledge. And when you hit the first problem, for example, you don't know how to edit your video specifically in this software, or you don't know how those concepts work from history or how math works. So when you have a specific problem, a specific math problem, a specific knowledge gap that you need, then you Google out in a specific question in, I don't know, AI, in Google, maybe you search it on YouTube for a tutorial, and this is when you actually learn, and this is when you actually don't procrastinate, when you have a specific thing in mind. So this is very simple. The first solution is that you don't use technologies and social media when you don't need it. When you actually need it, when you actually have a specific problem to solve, a specific question that is intriguing you, that you actually need to know, the question that actually contributes to you doing the work, to you studying better, you solve it by opening social media and by finding a specific answer. Not scrolling on For You page, not scrolling on your feed, on your Reels, on your Instagram, on your TikTok, because that doesn't work. And now we have a second solution, which is related to our emotions. So emotion is quite hard to understand and it's quite hard to break, because I know that from my personal experience, I have tried to break all of the bad habits that you can imagine. Well, not all the bad ones, but like scrolling, eating sugar, maybe watching pornography, scrolling on my phone. And when it is related to emotion, it's quite hard to break. And this is because you have to imagine the bad habits walking in pairs. So emotion and bad habit walking in one pair. And you can imagine this by a very simple example. Whenever you get home from school, from studying, from your job, the first thing that you probably feel is that you are tired. And what we do when we are tired? Most of the times we procrastinate and scroll on social media. You know, like you get on your phone, you get on your bed, and it's this 1 or 2 hours of not control time when you think that you are resting. And this is actually a pair. It's not just one habit, but it's actually a pair. You make a pattern of you laying down on a bed, being tired, and you connect that to scrolling on social media. So you can imagine this pair. Now we have other pairs. For example, you are alone at home and you connect it to eating sugar, to eating junk food, and this is your second pair. So this is why it's really, really hard to break, because if you just say to yourself that I'm going to stop scrolling, I'm going to stop procrastinating, I'm going to finally do my work, I'm finally going to study. If we have the second part of our pair, so for example, being tired and laying on a bed, and we just think about this problem of scrolling, what happens? You only think about the scrolling problem, the procrastination problem, but this problem gets left when you just lay down on your bed and you are tired. And when you just cover one thing, the other one sparks the second one. And it's like a never-ending cycle. If you don't take two things at once, you don't solve any of them. So what I want you to do is to break patterns. If you have this thing when it repeats and when you lay down on your bed, you scroll on your phone, the thing that I want you to do is to break this pattern. And how you break this pattern? Not only thinking about how to stop scrolling, but you also replace this bad habit with something else. So for example, you have to do this at least for 2 days in a row or for one good week consistently to actually start breaking the bad habit. And I'm speaking this from my experience because when I wanted to get into content creation, I needed to consistently post for 1 week to actually break my bad habits and get into the habit of posting. So what we do, if you find yourself laying on a bed and doing the bad habit as your pattern, what we do is we take off the scrolling and we have to take something else in order to make a good habit pair. So you can probably take the easiest thing that you can do. So if you don't like doing any good habits and you have been scrolling for too much for too long, what's the easiest thing for you? Well, the easiest thing for you is probably just laying down on the bed, sleeping, relaxing, actually taking the idea of relaxing as it should be. So you get back from home, you get back to home from school, from studying, from job, and you pick this pair of just you are feeling tired, and then you lay on a bed and you relax. Your pair is this: you lay on a bed, tired, you relax. You don't open anything, and you understand relaxing as not having absolutely anything to do. You just lay on your bed. If you want, you sleep, and that's how you break the pattern. And this is the same with any other emotion. So for example, if you are feeling sad and alone, and this way you feel that you need to eat some kind of sugar, eat some kind of junk food just to do something instead of doing your work or studying, well, you break this pattern by connecting something else. So maybe when you are feeling tired and when you're feeling alone, sad, the easiest thing for you to change this habit of binge eating, binge watching something, doing other bad habits, you change that into the easiest and most simplest thing that you can do. So for you, it can be writing something, maybe reflecting about your life because you feel sad and alone. Maybe you change that with doing something fun. So for example, going outside, riding your bike, getting out with friends, just doing something that is not related to being sad and doing the bad habit. So you break the pattern. And this is the same when you want to do the work, when you want to study. You procrastinate because of some kind of emotion. So if you understand the emotion, you can see the pattern, you can see the pair, and then you can break it by replacing it with another good habit. So for example, a really, really good thing that I do, and that got me to this point where I'm more focused, is when you find an emotion that is causing you the bad habit, the easiest thing that you could do is change that with some kind of a good distraction. So a good distraction is actually going downstairs and making a cup of coffee. So for example, you feel sad, you feel unmotivated to do the work, and instead of picking up your phone and procrastinating, you distract yourself with going to make a coffee. Maybe you have some kind of a routine. So for example, you pick up something delicious, so maybe a bar of chocolate. Maybe you actually clean your room, clean your desk as a part of a routine. And this way you prepare yourself to work, to study, and you actually forget about that emotion because it can be solved fast if you do it with the right habit. So this is what I want you to take from this second solution. You have to look at everything as pairs. Your emotion equals your bad habit. So if you can find your emotion and if you can find the bad habit that is related to it, you break the bad habit, you pick up a new habit. So whether it's actually a good habit as reading, writing, or just relaxing, or maybe it's just changing your routine into doing something that is distracting you in a good way. So making a cup of coffee, making tea, cleaning your room, which prepares you to do the actual work, and you get less distracted because of the emotion that you have. So when you start looking at everything as pairs, you will definitely see your procrastination differently. And to summarize our video is just this. You have to find your whys, why you procrastinate. So either we procrastinate because of the actions that we are doing, so opening our phone, opening our computer, having all of those tabs open, having YouTube open, social media open, or it is because of our emotion and how we feel. Maybe you feel tired, maybe you feel sad, maybe you feel alone. So that doesn't have to mean that you're doing the bad habits. You have to understand the pattern, you have to change it with the good habit, make a pair, and everything changes into your better life. So if you want some actual help and more improvement, you can join, top link in the description, where we have a great community with like-minded people. I can help you there 24/7. We can talk about different kinds of topics, and right now it's free, so feel free to join. My name is Paul and I post videos every single day. See you tomorrow.